Well, howdy YouTube, Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today, Lenovo has sent me something to play with. Yes, that's how I'm going to start this video. So, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I guess, I was contacted by a sales rep at Lenovo, and he said, would you like to play around with a server, just have it to kick around in your at Unky Joe's Playhouse and put it through its paces? And I said, well, sure. I never turn away a free gift. It's actually not a gift. So full disclosure here, it's on loan to me from Lenovo. And they did not ask me to do any videos on it. They did ask if I wanted to evaluate it. I told the rep what specs I wanted. He got the machine spec'd out, sent out to me. We had a little bit of a kerfuffle with gigabit and gigabit 10 adapters, but they got it to me, and it's up and running. And it's back there sitting on top of, just for reference, another IBM/Lenovo server. The 3650 Model 3 is below it. And I'll do a comparison between those two either. But you see, it's a tiny little server right there, if you don't count the power supplies. So let's go out and discover what kind of system they sent me and what the specs are. So the model server they sent me is the SE-350, and it's a completely customizable server, as we'll go into here shortly. It's got a single processor on here, and this one is the D-2183IT processor. It is a 16-core, 32-thread beast of a processor. The base frequency 2.2. It'll turbo up to 3. You can put up to 512 gigabytes of DDR4 2400 RAM in here. It has 4 memory channels on it. That is an FCBGA 2518 chip. So, anyway, that's the CPU that's in it. Now, it also has 256 gig of DDR4 RAM. That's Samsung RAM. 2400 megahertz is what they sent. So it's fully populated. Well, it could go up to 512, but I've said send me 256 because I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. It has two 480 gig M2 SATA SSD drives in there, and when I pull apart the machine, you'll see those drives in there. It also has two 1 terabyte M2 SATA SSD drives, and I had them put them in there for the data store. So the 480 gig hard drives or SSD drives, M2 SSD drives, are in a hardware mirror, so they're already pre-mirrored, so whatever's on one drive is on the other, and that requires a kit. So you'll see as we get into delve into the server what I'm talking about. It has two SFP Plus connectors on the front that are rated at 10 gig, and then it has two 1 gig SFP connectors. Also has a management port on front. And then there are two more ports, 5 and 6, and I thought they were gigabit Ethernet ports, but for whatever reason I could not get them to work. Now, that doesn't mean they won't work. It just means I'm too stupid to figure out how to get them to work. And frankly, the guys at Lenovo were not a lot of help either. They didn't know if they would work or not. So we'll get some clarification on that and revisit it. There is an internal Wi-Fi card, and it comes with antennas. There's also an internal LTE card and antennas. And this unit has the NVIDIA Tesla T4 video card, which, as you're going to see, does not have much use under Windows. But if we use a different KVM or hypervisor, perhaps we'll get more use out of that card. So there you go. Those are the specs of the machine that they sent me. So you really didn't think I was going to let a moment go by and not open this bad boy up, right? All right, so it's a very compact design on this server. I am kind of in love with this server, I'll just be honest with you. Now, most of the goodies are contained under that silver part I was just tapping on. But you can see the RAM sticks in the back, and then what I'm touching there are the two NVMe M2 SATA SSD drives in a mirrored pair. Underneath the silver part is where there's a PCI Express slot, and there's also another place to load more M2 SATA drives. But the way they configured it and sent it to me was with two 480 gig M2 SATA drives in a mirrored pair, and then two additional 1 terabyte. It works out to be about 890 megabyte SSD M2 drives underneath that metal cover. You'll see here in a minute when I take that off. So what I'm doing is just reading the instructions on how to take that thing apart, because I don't want to pry up on anything and do anything the wrong way. Now if you look in the front, you'll see I've got VGA plugged in. I've got a fiber optic cable for the 10 gig networking, and then I've got a blue cable plugged into the management port. Now next to that management port are two additional 1 gig supposedly Ethernet ports, but we could not get them to work. I could not get them to work. Their tech guy they had me talk to didn't know how to get them to work, but I'll be doing some research. We have this server for a while, so I'll do some research as time goes on. So now what I'm doing is following the instructions and removing the screws so I can get this cover off of this part of this server. Now, this server is not going to make a bunch of sense. They say it's for a small to medium business, but to put it into an office, like be a point of sale server or something, I guess. But this thing does suffer from the fact that the speed of the fans ramps up and down even when it's off. In order to keep, I think they could have worked a little bit better on the temperature and the fan settings on these. That's the only complaint I have with this unit. I wish I could afford one of these. I would love to buy one. I mean, it's got 16 cores, 32 threads. It's a pretty powerful unit. The processor itself is like $1,400 if you look it up on Intel's Arc thingy. So it's quite a powerful processor in here. Now this thing does consume a lot of power. I was really surprised. At full bore, it's consuming, well, I'll save that for when I do my operating system install, because I don't want to skew the results, but it's upwards of 150, 200 watts. So now here I am, just like I said, I'm trying to get this unit out without, I don't want to break it. I want to make sure I do it the right way. And I hate forcing anything. I just want to make sure I got all my screws out. You see I'm bending it a little bit. There we go. And it's just really in there really well. There we go. Finally it popped up. So there's a SATA connector that has to be unplugged, and then there is an edge connector that needs to be unplugged as well from the board. And then you flip it over. And I was surprised to see an NVIDIA Tesla card in here. I knew that I did ask them to send me a good video card, but I didn't realize they were going to send me a T4. And you can see where my thumb is. That's where the 800 gig SATA M2 SATA hard drives are. There's one on each side of that board. So this is kind of like a riser card, and there's so many options they can configure this server with that it just kind of astounds you the way you can configure it. But it's got a ton of options. Now, like I said, they say it's for a small to medium business, and if I were a business owner, I would run something like this. It could run my entire business, because I could run a lot of virtual machines on here. It has the benefit of Wi-Fi and LTE. Those are the cards I'm pointing to there. I believe the LTE card and the Wi-Fi card, I believe the up front is the Wi-Fi, and in the back is the LTE, or a cell phone provider card. Don't quote me on that, and if I'm wrong, I'll correct it toward the end of the video. But just you can see the kind of flexibility this machine gives you. And of course, on the back left, you'll see the where the blue and white tag is. That's a CPU cooler. And yeah, it's just a really great design. I gotta hand it to Lenovo. I'm kind of in love with this design, and the fact that it can go anywhere. Now, the one thing I haven't shown yet is the two big honkin' power supplies, because it does have redundant power. But they're power packs, but they only have like 4 or 5 foot cords to connect them up to the server. So in theory, you can mount this on a wall and then mount the little power packs. You can see it there to the right on the wall along with this server. For example, if it was out in a factory, or in a non-climate controlled environment. But there you go. There's its guts exposed. So for now, I have Windows Server 2019 installed on it, and I have Hyper-V installed as well so that I can play around with some virtual machines. So I'll be leaving that on there for now, and then as we move forward in our evaluation, we'll do some other operating systems and have some fun with it, because I'd like to get everything on there to work. However, I'm having some issues with Windows Server. Lenovo sends you out under their BIOS, they have a way to go ahead and, if you put a USB key installer in there, it'll automatically load drivers on it and do a walkthrough, a handheld install of Windows Server 2019. And that worked well, but there were a couple of devices, as you'll see, that it didn't quite figure out on its own. But Windows is up and running. Server 2019 is up and running on there, and it's working just fine. I've had, knock on wood, no problems with it. But I'd like to load it down with some virtual machines and just show you how fast it is. So there you go, YouTube. That's going to do it for now on this video. We will have other videos on this unit as I start to spend more time with it and get to know it a little bit better. And I'll try to do maybe a little more detailed breakdown in the next video as I learn stuff and learn how to turn things on and what the features are. So smash that like button if you liked the video. Leave your comments down in the comments section. If you're so inclined, we take PayPal and Patreon, and also the YouTube membership program for only $2 a month. A small amount to pay. It helps keep supporting this channel so we can keep bringing you, hopefully, content that you enjoy when my ring is not hitting the desk and causing the microphone to make your house sound like you're having an earthquake and make your dogs bark. Sorry about that. But anyway, you get what I mean. Don't forget to come back and see us again, because we miss you when you're gone. And don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side. What in the hell? It's on, but it's not on. I mean, I didn't turn on. Did you turn on? Why? So if it's not on, why is it making that noise? Maybe it's because it's hot. No, it's only 77 degrees in here. So why is it making that noise? That's really annoying.